Hello everyone, how are you all? So I am Siddharth Kumar Jha and I welcome you in the Digital Image Processing lecture series. So in the last video, we have learned about what is digital image processing is and why it is so important in real life. But you might be wondering what actually happens to a image like when it goes through processing. Okay, so that's exactly what we shall cover today. The fundamental steps in digital image processing system. Okay, so think of it like a pipeline that even image passes through before reaching the final result. Okay, so let me open my notepad for the detailed explanation. So just hold a second. Okay, so the first step is like your acquisition. Okay, so first is your steps in digital image processing. So the first is like your image acquisition. Acquisition. So it is the first step, like capturing an image using a sensors like your camera, scanner, or your satellite. Okay, so it includes basically sampling and quantization. Okay, so let's see let me write down for you. So image acquisition is nothing but capturing an image using sensors like your camera, scanner, or your satellite. Okay, so it includes basically your sampling and your quantization. So sampling is digitalizing coordinates into x comma y. So digitizing coordinates like x comma y in the form of x comma y, and your quantization means digitally intensity volume. Okay, so digitally or intensity, digitizing intensity values. Okay, so sometimes like basic pre-processing requires like your noise removal or resizing is done here in the very first step. Okay, so the next step, this is your image acquisition is your first step. So the next step is your image enhancement. So the second step is your enhancement, image enhancement. So the goal is like to make an image more visually appealing or either to analyze. Okay, so let me write it down. So in this basically you are improving the image quality, you can say improving to image quality for analyzing. Okay, to array yaar, for analyzing. Okay, so the main thing is like you are enhancing the quality of your image. Okay, so for example, like your contrast adjustment or your brightness or your histogram equalization and all. Okay, so most commonly used step because it is directly improve your visual quality. Okay, so let me write it down. It is more most commonly used step because it directly improve visual quality. Okay, so I think I am clear with the image enhancement. So the next one, which is image restoration. Okay, so the third step is your like image restoration. So what it exactly? So the main objective is like to recover the original image from a degrade one. Okay, so let me write it down. Recover the recover the original image from a degrade one. Okay, so it deals with your noise removal and motion blur correction. Okay, so it is used for the mathematical models and filtering techniques. Okay, so for uses for mathematical models and filtering filtering technique. Okay, so the next step, which is your color image processing. So next one, the fourth step is your color image processing. Okay, so what it is? So it works with color models like RGB, HSB, or your CMY. Okay, so let me write it down. So it works with color models, color models like RGB, your HSB, or your CMY. Okay, so the applications are like your printing industry, your medical images like colored sensors and all, and object tracking using the color. Okay, so the next step is your like wavelets and multi-resolution processing. Okay, so the fifth step is your wavelets and multi-resolution processing. So it allows a image to represented at the different resolution. So it allows it allows image to represented at different resolution, and it is useful in your compression like your JPG file. You are reducing the size and your image zooming without losing the quality. Okay, so the next one, which is your compression. So the fifth one, which is compression. Compression means like reducing image size for storage and transmission. Okay, so the types involves in the compression is your lossless, in which no information lost. Okay, so first one, is lossless, and the second one is your logi. Okay, so in the lossless, we are not losing any information. Okay, like your PNG file, and the logi means some information lost, but a smaller size. Okay, like JPG. So its example is your PNG, and logi example is your like JPGE. Okay, JPGE. So the next step is this one is your sixth step, and the seventh step, which is your morphological processing. Okay, so the seventh step is your morphological processing. So what it is? So it focus on the shape and structure in the image. So it focus on shape and structure in images, and it works mainly on the binary image. Okay, so which is your like white and black, black and white images. Okay, so the operations we can perform in this like operations, we can perform like your delineation. Okay, so dilation, your erosion, your opening or closing. So it is used for fingerprint matching, your object detection and all. Okay. So the next step is your segmentation. So the next one, the eighth step is your segmentation. So in the segmentation, it divides images into meaningful parts, your regions based on the regions and the objects. Okay. So it divides images into meaningful parts like your region and objects. Okay, for example, separating a tumor from an MRI scan. Okay, so it is crucial for object recognition and the analysis part. So the next step is your representation and description. So the ninth step is your representation and description. And your last step, 10th step, is your recognition and interpretation. Recognition and interpretation. So let's understand first what is representation and description. So after the segmentation, we represent the object boundaries and the regions. So representation is like your shape, size, and boundary. And description means like numerical features like your color, texture, and edges. Okay. And the recognition and interpretation in this like it is the final step in which we are assigning the labels to the objects. For example, this recognition is a tree, so the shape is a car. Okay, so like that we are assigning it. So often it is combined with the AI and machine learning. So that's about the today's video. So those are the 10 fundamental steps in the digital image processing. So you can think of them as the entire journey an image takes, right? for being captured to the enhanced, segmented, recognized, and finally understood by the computer. Okay. So in the next video, we shall go deeper into the components of an image processing system, that the hardware and the software that makes it the whole process possible. So if you enjoyed this series, like does not forget to hit the like button and subscribe button so you don't miss the any upcoming lesson. So see you in the next video. Tab tak ke liye keep learning and keep exploring. Bye bye.